The voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
French camp right along the Natchez Trace. I am here for the kickoff gathering for the Mississippi Sportscasters. Man, there's good company here. Rocky Felker is going to be the main speaker. There is David Kellum from Ole Miss, Bart Gregory from Mississippi State, John Cox, who may be, of all of us, the longest-running broadcaster. He started doing Southern. I think it was in the mid-'70s. So he's been around a long time. Gary Darby, who does Grizzlies radio, he's going to be here as well. Charles Edmond from Elkhorn State University. Jason Crowder is the guy who does Mississippi State Women. He's the guy that put this whole thing together, and I am looking forward to hearing what Rocky Felker has to say. I haven't heard or seen Rocky in a long, long time, so it's another sign that football is right around the corner. Interestingly enough, speaking of football, I couldn't help but listen to Greg and Eli earlier this morning debating about all these leagues that have come and gone. And the minor league football leagues, most of the time, have left because of the league. The one successful venture, and I mentioned this yesterday, I really kind of wish, especially with the way this worked out, that the Showboats hadn't used the name Showboats. They didn't use the colors, and I think it was because of fear of legal action. But they never captured what the one minor league football team really did. Now, there was a WFL team, World Football League team, that was in Memphis. That was prior to my coming here. That was in the 70s, maybe even 60s, but I think 70s. And that was the Grizzlies. And they had Zonka and Kick and Warfield, and soon-to-be Dallas Cowboys quarterback Danny White was a member of that team. I think they drew okay. That league went away. The Showboats were a monstrous success, but the league failed in their bid to sue the NFL, and that's why they went away. So it was the league that deserted them there. After that, the XFL, Maniacs, this iteration, the one that Greg Gasson did the play-by-play for, which you can't even remember the name of the league, that was a lot the league. And I think Eli put it into perfect perspective. The UFL never gave the Showboats a chance. Not one night game, all those Sunday morning games, including Mother's Day. They never gave Memphis a chance. And I want to say that the 4 USFL teams, I think this is right. Remember there was a merger. They had the 4 XFL and the 4 USFL. I think the 4 USFL were Birmingham, Michigan, or Detroit, Memphis, and Houston. Those are the 4 that are moving. Those are the 4 that really didn't get the best of the deal from this new league. So, sayonara, I guess is the best way I can put it. And the UFL really makes me laugh. They're gone. They can say whatever they want to. Somebody leaked the story. They didn't like it. But when they go, we don't comment on unauthorized speculation. To me, when the announcement comes out, they're going to look even dumber. I don't get why they don't just cop it and say, it didn't work in those towns. We're going to try somewhere else. And maybe they'll draw. Because, look, let's face it. Memphis didn't draw. I mean, if they had over 2,000 people, I'd be surprised. I know they announced 6,000. That was baloney. Birmingham won those titles they couldn't draw. There's only one team that really drew in the whole league. That's St. Louis. They're still there. And they draw because I think St. Louis is trying to make a case to the NFL. I don't know if that'll be successful, but those people do love their football. I tip my cap to them. But it's been a frustrating run. That is here for sure. I know that we finally have found out with this American, and it's the American now. They got their football meeting that is coming up, and that will take place today, actually. Late tonight and Friday is Media Days in Charlotte. They're in Charlotte. They're following the ACC Media Days there, and I don't know if they're using the same setup. I thought it was very interesting. It's the first time it hasn't either been in Rhode Island. Remember, they used to have the clam bake when the league first started. Then they moved the offices to Dallas, so they've been doing it in Dallas. Now they're doing it in Charlotte. I'm not really sure why, other than maybe they had already had this set up and they think there'll be a bunch of people in town, media already, so they would stick around for another day or two. Maybe that is the whole reason behind it. But I found it interesting that the league decided to give up the matchups for basketball right before they were doing football media days. But they did yesterday. And Memphis is getting probably what will be the 6 strongest teams as both home and away. UAB, which is clearly the one basketball rival they've got in the league. FAU, North Texas, Wichita State, which, for the league's sake, I hope that becomes a really good program again. The league needs it. Tulane, which is so important in football, would be nice to see their basketball. I love their coach, Ron Hunter, but he never seems to get it together. Some of that may be facilities, I don't know. And South Florida, and there is definitely a bigger emphasis in South Florida on their athletics. Then you've got home games against Charlotte, Temple, and Texas San Antonio. So you're not going to those places. And that's okay. I love Charlotte's arena. I'll miss that. I love that campus. I always like going to Philly. We're not going to go there this year. But I can't tell you that I'm going to miss going to UTSA because that's the worst gym in the league. And then you've got just road games at East Carolina, which Memphis wasn't last year. Rice, which gave Memphis fits, even though that's not the hardest place in the world, and Tulsa, which I always enjoy going to Tulsa. Those are the road matchups. We have moved the Family Leisure Studios. We've moved them to French Camp. The first time, I promise you, the Family Leisure Studios have ever been in French Camp, Mississippi. But here's the thing. The most important part of that is really the one at I-40 and Wooden Road is still having that wonderful let's clear the place sale because they got to move all the patio furniture for the fall stuff that's coming in. 60% off all of the patio furniture. Get a table, by the way. You get a free umbrella. Those aren't cheap. If you buy one chaise lounge, nobody buys just one. The second one is half off. Family Leisure. They're clearing the warehouse sale going on right now at I-40 and Wooden Road. On some road, way north, is our friend Pete Pranica. Pardon? We are endeavoring to get Pete Pranica, and we will chat with him, hopefully, because there's some interesting things. Now, he is on the road. He did tell me that. And I think he's on his way to a little vacay, much deserved, because he did work hard at Summer League. You might recall he was doing games on NBA TV, and he was working with Isaiah Thomas. But I'd love to know what his favorite takeaway is. And there's interesting things here to talk about. The Jalen Wells versus Cedric Coward showdown. That will be, I think, something to watch because I believe they made their moves to get Coward to have him be the player over Jalen Wells. Wells has been a really good stopper. He had been a good shooter last year at the beginning. That sort of went away. That'll be one to watch. What are they going to do about Meshack? Love the acquisition of P.J. Hall. I got to watch P.J. Hall a bunch because of NCAA tournaments. So I'm crazy about that one. Pete does join us now, driving safely, I hope. Good morning, Mr. Pranica. Give me your favorite takeaway of Summer League, first Grizz, then the whole league. Good morning.
Good morning. Best Grizz takeaway was Javon Small. Absolutely dynamite, great energy. Played really well, was very impressive in the first game at Salt Lake City, and then soft tissue injury. Didn't see him until later in Vegas, but I thought he really, really impressed, and I look forward to seeing his development with the hustle as a two-way player. And if the Grizzlies suffer some injuries at the point guard spot, he'll probably get some time with the big club, and I was very, very impressed with him. Meshack as well. I thought he did some really, really good things. He plays with an edge. He plays with intensity, and so I thought that was those were two of, I think, the real pleasant surprises. I don't know that Cam Spencer was a surprise so much as I just enjoy watching him play. That last or the fourth game against Atlanta, where I think he started 1 for 7. The Grizzlies were really struggling. He hits a couple of big threes down the stretch and gives the Grizzlies a chance to win the game. I was very encouraged by that. So those are my Grizzlies takeaways. As far as Summer League as a whole, unfortunately, the games that I got a chance to see, I didn't get to see Cooper Flagg and some of the more high level guys. I did see Fears of New Orleans. I was very impressed by him. He does have a lot of, as they would like to say, dog in him. 18 years old, plays with an edge, plays fearlessly, and I think New Orleans has a real good pickup with him. So that would be kind of my takeaways from what happened on the court in Vegas.
Did you, by any chance, get to see David Jones Garcia? He's added a name, and now he's added a two-way with San Antonio. If so, your impressions?
I did not get a chance to see San Antonio at all. It was not one of the teams that I had a chance to do, and I was really kind of head down on the 6 teams. Well, it was a little bit less than that because I got Oklahoma City in Orlando a couple of times. But so, no, I did not get a chance to see him.
Did you, because I know you gazed in on the Grizz games, did you learn anything, because it's pretty rare that the head coach also does the Summer League games. What did you learn, if anything, differently about Tomas Cicalo?
Well, I mean, he does favor the pick and roll, and I thought we saw a lot of high ball screens and different pick and roll actions. So that, to me, was probably the biggest thing that I got out of it. I felt it was very important for him to have that role because players need to know who the head coach is. And, we talk about 3 rostered players with, Gigi and Cam and Jalen. They need to hear his voice. They need to kind of dive into his philosophy as a new head coach and to hear his voice on the sidelines. I think it was a good opportunity for Tomas to, I don't want to say get his feet wet, but to further enhance his stature and kind of his voice as the head coach of an NBA team.
You mentioned seeing Meshack. I was impressed by him. I heard the comparisons to Tony Allen. I do think, even though Rick Barnes didn't use him much offensively, I think he's a little more adept than Allen was at offense. I'm not sure he's quite the dog on defense, but he's a rookie, so we shall see. They did not sign him yet to a two-way. Do you think they will?
I would think when you spend a draft pick and they obviously felt very strongly about him, I would imagine that would be the case. And then PJ's the big. My understanding of their two-way philosophy is it probably would be, a couple of guards / wings, and then a big. So, Meshack would certainly round out the 3 with the waiving of Zion Pullen. So, that they haven't gotten it done, but I can't imagine that they wouldn't go that way.
PJ Hall. I loved watching him play at Clemson. He's, I think, a really well-rounded guy. He's a big guy. His body is big enough to be an NBA guy, I think. What did you make of that acquisition as a two-way? And are you familiar with his game?
Not familiar with his game, but, I thought it was intriguing given that you had 3 bigs with Lovering and Baycott and Magne that you had in Summer League,
right,
that saw the floor in Summer League, and yet you went for someone that was not on your Summer League team. So there was clearly something that they saw there. I've not had a chance to talk to Zach Kleiman or anybody in basketball operations since that signing, but clearly they saw something that they really, really liked in him. Because again, you had three guys wearing your uniform in summer league, and PJ is the guy that you end up signing to the two-way. So, there was obviously something that they saw in him that maybe they didn't see in the other three.
I'll say this. I didn't see him against the summer league competition or really anything outside of college basketball. As a collegiate player, he could do a lot of different things, handle the ball, good hands, good passer, and a competitor, a real competitive fighter. That's what I like about P.J. Hall. But let's face it. I mean, if the Grizzlies are going to be great, Jaren Jackson Jr. has to be great. We know he's coming off of this toe surgery, but Ja has to be great. And nobody's really talked much about this, but let's you and I start it. What has Ja got to do to make the next step? Stay healthy, I know for sure. But is there a consistency thing? Or in your mind, what's Ja got to do next for the Grizzlies to be a great team?
It goes without saying, health. If John Morant plays 65 games, Wolo, his team could be really, really good. If he plays 40 or fewer, it's going to be a struggle. So, consistency of availability, I'll tie consistency and availability together. Be available and be consistently good. We saw the three-point shot. It was last year. There were times where he couldn't miss, and there were times where, he couldn't hit it. So I think the consistency has to be there. And if you roll back to last year at this time, Taylor Jenkins was having what he termed difficult conversations with both Desmond Bane and John Morant about being better defensively. And we saw some improvement from both of them last year defensively. That has to continue in a positive direction for Ja. So three-point shot, defending, and just in general availability. I think those are the things. And then also maybe listening to his body. He plays, I don't want to say reckless, but he plays with reckless abandon. And sometimes, he joked last year, I'm not going to dunk anymore. But he does take a pounding, and he may have to adjust how he works around the rim in order to minimize some of the punishment because, as I said, he's the key to this team. And 65 games plus, this is a good Grizzlies basketball team. You start dipping down to 50, 45 games of availability, now the path to the playoffs becomes a whole lot harder.
I do think he was conscious of trying to limit exposure at the rim. He developed that little teardrop, that little mid-range stop in the lane thing when he gotten by a guy, that Curry does so well. I think he did try to do that last year a little bit more.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's a point that Brevin Knight made regularly. Look, that teardrop at the dotted line is always going to be there. You don't have to go to the rim. And I think he did a better job with it. Now, a couple of the injuries last year, Daniel Tice hits him with a shoulder. There's nothing you can do about that. He gets hit with a ball in the ankle. Some of this stuff was totally freak stuff. It wasn't because he went to the rim. And then obviously in the playoffs he gets undercut by Dort. But I mean, it's a takeaway. You're going to go to the rim.
Yeah. Yep. You may be getting a call. I'm not sure what it is. We got a little interruption here. Last thing, real quick, if you're still there, the Grizz hire another assistant. It's a guy who's coming back. He was with player development before. Darnell, is it Lazare? Who is now going to be Lazare? He's going to be, I guess, the new bigs coach coming from New Orleans.
Yeah, he worked with Yves Missi last year, so I think it's a really good pick
with the culture of the team, all that. So I think it's a good pickup for the Grizzlies. Very well respected, very diligent, and if you saw what Yves Missi was able to do last year, and Darnell worked with him, then I think it's a good get that he can go ahead and work with Zach Edey. Last year, primarily Zach Edey worked with Anthony Carter, who's no longer on the staff.
My friend, drive safely. You're about to get another phone call, I think, because that guy's been trying to get through to you. Enjoy. We'll talk next week, same time, same area.
All righty. Take care.
That is our good friend. That is Pete Pranica on the Grizz and on the NBA. We take a quick break. When we come back, we'll head down to Baton Rouge. Our SEC historian, Ron Higgins, is right around the corner.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
The Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation has issued a Class 3 modification to Hazardous Waste Permit 182 for Covoro Mining Solutions, LLC. This decision follows a 45-day comment period and a notice of intent public hearing held on March 4, 2025. For further information, see the public notice in today's edition of the Millington Star. The modification and response to comments may also be viewed at the Millington Public Library or the TDEC Environmental Field Office on Wolf Lake Drive. Please call 615-532-0780 to learn more. Air. We breathe it naturally. Simple, right? Not so fast. The air you breathe could be hazardous to your health. Don't guess. Be sure with a phone call to the Memphis Mold Inspector, the only licensed mold assessor in the Mid-South. Call the Memphis Mold Inspector to check the air quality inside your home and office. Protect babies, pets, new homes, old homes, employees, friends, loved ones, and you. Just call 901-292-7788 for clean air and peace of mind. 901-292-7788 for the Memphis Mold Inspector.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus of Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Rick's Powder Coating for a beautiful finish every time. Rick's Powder Coating specializes in automotive, ornamental, residential, and industrial coating. With 2 conveyor lines and the largest batch ovens in the Mid-South, Rick's can accommodate all of your powder coating needs. Locally owned and operated since 2002, Rick's Powder Coating will customize a beautiful finish just for you. Drop by or call to see how Rick's Powder Coating can bring color to your life. 901-367-2771 or rickspowdercoating.com.
It's time to get loud, y'all. The FedEx St. Jude Championship kicks off August 6th through 10th. Don't miss your chance to watch the competition unfold as the PGA Tour's top 70 players take on TPC Southwind. Experience unmatched energy, fun fan activities at every corner, delicious Memphis bites, and much more. Get your front row seat to all the drama. Tickets are on sale now at FedExChampionship.com. Kids 15 and under get in free with a ticketed adult.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Nice and fun to really know football's right around the corner, and they got this Sportscaster kickoff gathering, kind of a forum for a bunch of young kids. And I just was talking to David Kellum. You will listen to his games right here on Sports 56. John Cox, the elder statesman, I like to call him, from Southern Miss. Bart Gregory from Mississippi State here. And I know my friend Ron Higgins knows a lot of these guys. Man. We're having our troubles with connections today. I did speak with him yesterday, so I know he will be coming on. And I will tell you, he loves golf, and he used to love to play the Memphis public golf courses. And they're special. I really tip my cap to the past couple of mayors, and, of course, to Mickey Barker, who runs Memphis Golf, and the Memphis Park Commission, because they realized years ago and forwarded money to make sure that golf is an amenity of a great town. And they wanted this to be a great town. And that is exactly what they did. They redid Galloway. They redid Pine Hill. They redid Whitehaven a long time ago. They redid Overton Park. Now they've redone Audubon. If you haven't played Audubon, it is fantastic. I mean, there are some really great classic holes, and a lot of the great old ones are still there. It's a great mix of all of them. Memphis Public Golf, with a website that makes it easy. You can find out information about when all the tournaments are going to be. And if you want a tee time, no easier way to do it than just go to memphispubliclinks.com. Good morning, Ron Higgins. In your original introduction, I was talking about seeing David Kellum here, John Cox, a lot of your old buddies. We are in French Camp, Mississippi. I don't know if you've ever been here, but it's a gathering. Rocky Felker, your old buddy, is going to speak today at the Mississippi Sportscasters Kickoff Gathering. I know you know a bunch of these guys, right?
I can't remember his name. It was from French Camp. I can't remember the guy's name, but he was really good. He started for him. But okay, yeah, all my guys, Rocky, all the announcers. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun time. Hey, I'd like your thoughts on, this has been a tough week for Memphis. They lost a UFL team, but the biggest blow was the buy-in attempt by the Tigers to get into the Big 12. You couldn't ask for a more creative and spectacular fee to get in, really, to try to buy yourself in. I tip my cap to all these guys that put this together. But the Big 12 didn't really care. They said no. What were your thoughts when you heard and read about this story?
I felt bad for Memphis. I thought the bid was really good. I don't know how the Big 12 can turn down $250 million. And a school that can obviously contribute in football and basketball. Some other sports that need to come to standard. But the Big 12, what they have right now, they could use Memphis because it's a very... I don't know, it's a weird, scattered kind of league. When you add Central Florida to it, it's kind of bizarre. So Memphis is more centrally located than UCF to that league. I don't understand that. And I thought it was particularly a slap in the face of Memphis after, for years in good faith, the Liberty Bowl, signed a contract with Big 12 teams. So they know what they get when they come here. They know they get showcased when they come here. They know it's a good place to go to. And so I don't understand that. I thought it was a pretty the slap in the face. I really didn't like it at all.
Maybe the ACC saw it, and maybe they'll take a little bit of a look and think about it because they got 17 teams. I don't know. It may be a little uncomfortable for Ryan Silverfield and that crew at the American Media Days in Charlotte over the next couple of days. I'm not sure, but it certainly didn't work Memphis's way. But all you can do is keep on trying to win and figure out why. Some of it may be the fact they've been on probation. I don't know. We've been scratching our head for a couple of days over all of this. So you were at SEC Media Days early on. I know the first couple of days. What was your take? What did you learn from this year's get together down in Atlanta at the College Football Hall of Fame?
I think every coach is trying to figure out what the parameters of NIL, what they're going to do with it next. I mean, how the payouts work? I mean, how's it? When a kid gets an NIL deal, will it get how fast will it get through the clearinghouse? The transfer rule, will it ever change? Will it ever change? So I think they're just kind of waiting to see what's come along. I think most of them adapted the stuff pretty well. Some schools are using Venmo to pay their players with. They get paying players now. So I think every coach is trying to stay at the head of the game on this stuff. Make sure they have enough people in their NIL department to handle stuff. That more so than the football, honestly. I mean, the football, I guess Arch Manning, can he come in the first year and have an impact? I mean, as a first year, full-time starter. LSU, can they get in the playoff? They've had the best portal buys of anybody in the league. They have at least 8 or 9 guys start from the portal. Can they take a step up this year? Well, Alabama rebound from last season, 9-4, not getting in the playoffs. Can they come back? I think those are the major stories. And of course, Tennessee was all about the quarterback who is now invisible and who left, and they didn't even mention his name. That was pretty funny. Yeah.
They never mentioned Nico Iamaleava?
They wouldn't mention the coach. I mean, Heupel wouldn't mention his name. They went act like the guy didn't exist. So basically, yeah.
You mentioned Arch Manning. I found it interesting. He wasn't among the top 3 quarterbacks in the preseason poll.
Yeah, a lot of people think that. I mean, he's got to prove himself. I mean, I get that, but I think he has that kind of potential. But yeah, I mean, preseason polls are kind of nutty. I kind of take them with a grain of salt. In 2019, the All-SEC preseason team, first, second, third team, neither of those teams included Joe Burrow of LSU, who won the Heisman. He threw 60 touchdown passes in a season, 1 per quarter all year.
And he wasn't in the top 3?
He wasn't in the top 3.
Who do you remember who the top 3 were that year?
Tua Tagovailoa, Jake Fromm, and Kellen Mond. There you go.
Wow. Well, one of them turned out to be pretty darn good.
Yeah, but other ones, have been.
So, and I know Nussmeier was second team. You're LSU quarterback. The kid from South Carolina, is that good?
He's a dual threat quarterback. I think Nussmeier is probably better, but they play each other this year in Baton Rouge, so that'll be a good game. But I will say this. LSU won a close game last year in South Carolina, and they probably wouldn't have won if the South Carolina quarterback hadn't gotten hurt and didn't play the second half. So I'll give them that, yeah. But this week, I always find it interesting, all these coaches at other conferences are taking shots at the SEC. Kurt Cignetti of Indiana, basically from the SEC's non-conference schedule, how they schedule too many FCS teams and whatever, and they do. But I went back and looked something up. The last 5 years, the SEC has played 25 games against non-conference games against ranked teams. 13 to 14 SEC teams who've been in the league 5 years all played at least one game. The Big Ten only played 19 games, and 4 of their teams who've been here in the league for 5 years longer didn't even never played a non-conference game against a ranked team. And the Big 12 was 6 and 13, and they had two teams that ever played a game against a non-conference team, a ranked team.
In defense of the Big Ten, remember they're going to play one less non-conference game.
Well,
they're playing 9 conference games.
Well, I realize that, but you can still schedule somebody. I mean, Michigan, Iowa, Rutgers, and Maryland played no ranked non-conference games for the last 5 seasons.
I believe that. How many MAC teams did they play? That's the thing.
Yeah.
The MAC survives on playing non-conference games with Big Ten teams.
That's what I understand. I mean, the people talk about, they think you're supposed to play a major, a Power 5 team every week, even in non-conference. You really can't do that. You've got to have games that, one, they're kind of like glorified scrimmages where you can get a lot of guys in and maybe play your stars 2.5 quarters and almost like an exhibition game, but it's in season. And you give a nice guarantee to the team that's coming in, which really probably boosts their budget so much. It helps them survive to have that program. And that's what all these, I don't understand all these coaches, bang on the SEC schedule. It seems everybody does it. I mean, Indiana's coach who's first out the SEC, they got like Kennesaw State in their second game. Their first game's got a nobody. So I don't know what he's talking about.
Well, the Big Ten, the Big Ten is so self-serving. Their commissioner with his plan, play-ins, designated already, he gets 4 in. I mean, it's ridiculous. And that's the thing that makes me so upset, and Sankey's not quite as bad, honestly, but they're all self-serving. They care only about their teams.
Well, they do. But Sankey's more open to playing 9 conference games and not having four teams automatically in than Big Ten. The Big Ten is.
I'd like to see this compromise. Not that I want to do away with mid-majors or even upper mid-majors like the American or what the Pac-12 will be next year, but the compromise here would be that the SEC and the Big Ten and all the major conferences play 9 conference games, and they have to schedule, if you want to make it even for strength of schedule, and they got to schedule one other non-Power 5. That's what not one Power 4 to go with it. And most of them do.
The only team in the SEC hasn't done that in the last 5 years is Mississippi State. Everybody else has. I don't think State's scheduled a a Power 5 non-conference game. But I'm looking at ranked teams. That's what I was looking at. Teams that were ranked, Power 5 teams ranked. And every SEC team played somebody except for Mississippi State. Other conferences didn't. They still done anybody. So all this stuff about banging on SEC, how they play cupcakes. Should they have cupcakes on their schedule? They sure do. But everybody does. And I think it benefits all those programs who need that guaranteed money. I mean, LSU's paying Western Kentucky $1.2 million this year to come here. Paying Southeastern Louisiana and Hammond $750,000. That's a lot of money to an FCS school. So I think those guarantees float a lot of the programs alive, and which is, I think, good for college football, contrary to people who fans are always saying, well, they're not playing anybody by non-conference. Well, yeah, they're playing some people non-conference. A lot of SEC schools schedule a Power 4, and they schedule a pretty good mid-major, and then maybe a fluff. Yeah, that's what they do.
Yeah, and that fluff, that they live off that money. I find it curious. You're paying Western Kentucky $1.2 million, and in-state Southeastern Louisiana only gets $750. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Western Kentucky bargained for a better deal, but I know. Last year, a couple of years ago, I think LSU paid Grambling $1 million, and Southern probably $1 million. They try, they try to play $1 million to a lot of people, plus give them a lot of complimentary tickets and stuff like that. So, yeah, I'm all for playing fluff teams because it helps keep those programs alive. But I think it's a valuable thing. Every kid out there cannot play in a D1 program. They can't. They need somewhere to go play. I believe in that.
USA Today just put out this story with a couple of writers that were talking about the 5 hottest seats in the SEC for coaches. This has become a thing in the last 10 years where we kind of try to predict who's going to get fired. Nobody got fired last year, right?
Yeah.
So here's what they say. The 5th hottest seat, Mark Stoops, Kentucky. You agree? Disagree?
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of tailed off last couple of years. Had a good run of getting in bowl games, but kind of tailed off. But he also realized it's a hard place to coach because it has no really good in-state football at all whatsoever in high school. Yeah.
Well, now they got to become more active in the portal. That should help them the way things are going. And he's been so successful there compared to others.
Compared to others, it has been. But it kind of tailed off. And again, it's a hard place to recruit to. Not great in-state football, high school.
The 4th hottest seat was a guy that I thought got himself off that hot seat last year. Was Billy Napier at Florida.
Yeah, that's curious. He had a really good recruiting year. I guess they feel like he's got to keep it going. He's got a good quarterback in DJ Lagway. I'm kind of iffy on that one.
The 3rd hottest seat, Brent Venables, Oklahoma, and let's be honest, that has not worked out thus far.
Not so far. This hadn't translated. He's had quarterback problems. Defense hadn't played great. No, it didn't translate. And, of course, the SEC hadn't done very anything favorable with their schedule either. So.
The 2nd hottest seat, I was a little surprised at this, and he's been a success wherever he's been. He's had some other troubles, but he's been on-field success every place except here. That's Auburn, Hugh Freeze. You think that's the 2nd hottest seat?
Yeah, I think Hugh needs to win this year. I mean, it's taken him a few years to get guys he's wanted in the portal. His first couple of years there, he had no receivers whatsoever. I remember when he played LSU, maybe it was 2 or 3 years ago, and I went and talked to him the day of the game, and he goes, our quarterback's okay. He goes, we have no receivers whatsoever. We've got to get some receivers. I think he's done a really good job. They put a lot of money in the portal this year. So, I would agree with that to a point, but also I'd say this. You can't keep changing coaches every 3 or 4 years and expect to win. You've got to give a guy, give him at least, 5 years, 6 years. You've got to give him a couple of years.
Well, by the poll, he does not appear to be a team that will that will keep him there. Do you think he wins enough to stay?
That's a question. I haven't grasped that yet. I don't know if he can.
And then the number one hot seat consensus, even though he turned things around a little bit, I like him, Sam Pittman, Arkansas.
Most likable guy in the league, and just like you feel like, again, not enough great in-state talent in Arkansas. You've always had to go to Oklahoma to get people, or Texas, or Louisiana. And, Oklahoma and Texas got tougher to recruit in since they joined the league. So kids want to play in the SEC, they got the option of going, in Texas, of going to other places. LSU's got 15 players on their rosters from Texas.
Here's my thing about Arkansas. With their money and their facilities, I think it's a beautiful play. I don't understand why it hasn't achieved more since it got into the SEC than it has. Maybe that's just me. That may be discussion for next week. As always, my friend, love having you. Thank you so much.
All right, Wallow, take care. We'll see you.
That is our historian on the SEC. That is Ron Higgins. Downtown Memphis and the Hall of Famer Jarvis Greer on the Big 12 and a whole lot more. He comes your way in just a moment.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Cooper Systems is having a sales tax holiday super sale. This Friday, Saturday, and Sunday only. Buy any computer up to $1,500 and pay no sales tax. That's right, no sales tax. If you take advantage of Tennessee's tax holiday this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday only. And to make the deal sweeter, Cooper Systems has slashed prices on everything in the store. That's right, name brands like Dell, Hewlett-Packard, Apple, Mac, Lenovo, Asus, Acer, and Cooper Systems' own Phoenix custom-built computers and gaming computers. And remember, you pay no sales tax. If you've been waiting to buy a computer, now is the time. This Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, prices have been slashed, and you pay no sales tax. So hurry into Cooper Systems, and you'll save a bundle on name brand computers and custom-built Phoenix gamers. Cooper Systems is in the Mount Moriah Office Park, or call 360-9679 to save a bundle and pay no sales tax. See store for details on tax holiday.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting great candidates? Well, they're not hard to find when you go to ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. People who are actively looking for jobs like yours. So it's easy to find the right person fast. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Sunrise on Jefferson and Sunrise East on Poplar were recently voted the best breakfast restaurants in Memphis by a guy on the internet. This was a rave review. He rhapsodized about the signature square biscuits, the huge selection of delicious foods, the friendliness of the staff, and how fast and fresh his breakfast was at both Sunrise locations. It was the kind of unsolicited post that businesses love to see. Okay, it was written by me. I posted it. That doesn't make it any less true. You can't do better than Sunrise.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Welcome back to beautiful French Camp, Mississippi, right along the Natchez Trace. We're here for the kickoff gathering of the Mississippi Sportscasters. A lot of good old friends here. Can't wait to go mingle with them in a little bit. But first, let's head downtown. Our Hall of Famer, Jarvis Greer, joins us now. First thing you thought of when you read the tweet from Ross Dellinger that Memphis had made this incredible offer to the Big 12. Good morning, Jarvo.
Play some golf, I'm sure, right?
Say that again. I missed that.
Oh, I said you're probably going to get to play some golf down there, I'm sure, right?
No. This is a broadcasting forum. No golf today. It's a little hot.
No golf.
Hey, I know.
Well, you're really dedicated to helping out your brethren then. Very good.
Do you realize the heat index today is 111? Were you aware of that?
Yeah, I know. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad everywhere. They call it the heat dome this year, but it's July. What do you expect?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way it is. And so I'd rather be warm than cold. I'd rather be hot than cold, really. I can't do cold weather all that great. But anyway, you asked for my first response. My first response was, wow, we came up with what? How much? And then it's like, and then they did what? And I said, well, that's par for the course. What amazes me is that after all that and the behind the scenes and going on for so many months, 14 months they've been putting this deal together and talking to, Big 12 presidents or ADs or whoever all they talk to. And then it comes down to there's no interest. But the main galling thing was, we vetted them before. What's changed? I mean, that was like, come on, dude. I mean, come on, man. With all the stuff that the university has done, with all the things that were basically set aside, well, you don't have this or you don't have that. And, they got the Carnegie R1 status for academics, which academics has not scored a touchdown or slam dunked the basketball. I think that's just all a ruse for snobbery. And they're doing the stadium. I mean, it's a beautiful upgrade, and it's going to be on par with what Baylor did with their stadium when they redid theirs. And, and all the other things. You got corporate support, major league corporate support. The guy that's the head of Lowe's, is a U of M alum, black dude, and I just think they think Memphis is an HBCU and they don't want any part of it. The only thing that really
I do think this: if you look at student enrollment of African Americans, I think I don't know this for a fact, but I believe there is the highest population of that outside of an HBCU. Of any other school. There could be others. Got to be in the top 3 or 4. That is for sure.
Well, we looked it up, and Memphis is second. I think.
Who's first?
Florida school. I think it's got like it's not FAU, FIU,
Florida International.
But I think that has more Hispanic, and they kind of clump them together. But Memphis is over 34%, which is like that's the most of any school. It's number 2 in the nation in terms of. Black enrollment, non-white enrollment. So, and all the kids that go to school there love it. So, you have to kind of be here, but they're not here. And it's like the one thing I will say this that hasn't changed is TV market size, and market is what drive a lot of this. But if you talk about you want a passionate fan base, you mess around and let Memphis get in the Big 12 and get that recruiting money, and then you see what happens. I think Memphis was poised in just as good a position as Cincinnati or Houston or UCF. The only thing about it, UCF is in the Orlando market, which is top 15. Houston is top 3, top 5, I think.
Top 5.
But Cincinnati, come on. I think the only thing Cincinnati has over Memphis is they got a medical school. But so what does that have to do with what
they also had the
field?
new stadium. They had the new stadium. Memphis did not have that they will have
at the time. Oh, yeah, at the time. And they just happened to get hot in football at the right time. But Memphis had been beating them over the years. So it's not like, they're that much better than Memphis. They're not. Athletically, they're not as far as the athletic department is concerned. So, yeah, that's kicking the gut. I don't want to say we got slapped hard, but I don't think that it's over. I think there's still a lot of moving parts, before the new TV deals get signed. In 2030? That's when they're up.
Yeah, right.
I just hope I'm alive long enough to see the fruits of whatever's going to happen to this. But I applaud the U of M administration for coming up with this. Dr. Scott and the school president, Dr. Hargrave, for getting out there, beating the bushes, and drumming up the support from AutoZone and Lowe's, and of course FedEx. And it's just it's a show of total commitment to the school that, look, this is what we want to do. And I will say this, Dave, coming up with this offer at this time, going back to a league that has already snubbed you, I think it definitely gives an urgency to this, because what's coming up with the rich still getting richer, even with all the, the things that have gone around, it just making it that much harder for teams that are not within the power structure to try to just get a toe, not a seat. I'm talking about just a toe under the table, to get in there with the quote-unquote power conferences. And just, I think it's a missed opportunity for the Big 12, but we got to see what we can do. I posted myself last night. I said, don't feel like this is out of your control, Tiger fans. One thing you can control, buy a dadgum ticket and go to the games, because TV likes to see.
Keep winning. That's all you can do, is continue to be as good a program as you can be, and sooner or later, if those kinds of packages can still be put into place, someone's going to pick it up. And I think there is some Big 12 hesitation, my guess, but they're waiting until they see what happens with the ACC and who could be available there and what shakes out in that regard. And maybe they're just playing their cards. They're set till 30, and let's see what happens.
Yeah, I think that has a lot to do with it, even though they did come to some agreement, the ACC and Florida State and who was it, North Carolina, Clemson, that for some reason I think that grant of rights or whatever they call that thing, to try to get that settled so they're not like, okay, we're up and out. That has died down, but it can always come back up again once the TV dials turn around. And that's what I said. Tiger fans, you want to support your program, you can support it. Nobody's stopping you. Buy a ticket, go to the game, fill up the stadium, fill up the arena. And that's what TV likes. And that's what will get you some, more noticeability. You can't have, the stadium, the Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium seats like 33,000 now. Well, you can't have 20,000 in there for a game. You got to have people falling over the sides of the stands. And when the renovation gets done, you got to fill that thing up, because that's what really, really gets people's attention. And that's something that we as Memphis fans can control. Go buy a daggum ticket and go to the game. Support your team. It's actually fun going to the game. And if you like somebody else, DVR them, record them, go to the game. You can watch your other team later. And that's what I have to say about that.
Nobody bought tickets to the Showboats. You, in the first iteration, when they were part of the USFL, was, I remember the word, ambassador.
Yeah.
They that might have led to you becoming a Hall of Famer, because, you were not in the Hall of Fame until you became an ambassador. Just kind of struck me there.
That my wife worked at St. Jude, and St. Jude is the patron saint of lost causes. So that was kind of it. I will say this: they paid. They did pay, so I ain't gonna be too mad at them. It was,
and you know what? That first year they drew better than they did when the UFL came in. There's no doubt about that. But what's the first thing you thought about when you saw this thing had failed and they were moving on?
Well, if you look over the last 3 years that the team had been here, or not here, actually here, but playing in the stadium, there was. The first year wasn't bad. Okay, fledgling league, new idea. It's a TV league to begin with anyway. They were 5-5, and they had a 3-4 game win streak there toward the end of the season. Okay, something to build on. But then they came back, and they decided, and which was a business model now. You're not going to get around that, to have every team be housed in one place to save money, and then you fly out to your game site, and then you fly back. And I think, that did not help. And what really hurt is that the team was awful. The team was just terrible. You go to a game, and by the end of the first quarter, they're down 20-3. And so that's not any fun, especially when it's 98 degrees. Also, we didn't get any luck in the scheduling, and most of the games were Saturday or Sunday afternoon, and when it's 98 degrees. If they could have gotten some night games in there, that might have helped. But here, it's not up. I want to make this plain. This is not on Memphis or the fans. If Birmingham gets yanked out, and they won 3 of the 4, they won at least 2 of the 3. They won 2 titles in a row, played for the last one, and then they get yanked up out of Birmingham because there weren't any fans there either. It didn't go over there either.
They didn't get them in Houston. They didn't get them in Detroit. Those are the 4 original USFL teams that merged.
Those are all the USFL
with the XFL. So they're all moving them. I don't know if there's some bias about that grouping or if there wasn't. But I got to get this in. Last thing, because you work for Grind City. Yeah. I know you know a lot of people that know Mayor Young. Yeah. Why has Robert Pera and the city of Memphis not come to a lease agreement yet? With all that money waiting for all these new things going into FedEx Forum, it needs to be a long-term lease in order to go ahead with these improvements, and yet they're not coming. The lease has not been signed. What's the deal?
Well, it's all about negotiation, Dave. They're still going over the fine points of this and the fine points of that, and it doesn't have to be signed until just before the 28-29 season. That's how long this current lease lasts. And so, hey,
yeah, but you want those improvements before then if you're going to expand and redo FedEx Forum.
Yes, that's true. And all else, and that's one thing about the Grizzlies. They're very tight-lipped in saying, okay, exactly what the plans are for this and exactly what the plans are for that. My feeling is, now this is just me talking, okay? I don't have any inside intel on this, but I think some of this has to do with that $500 million has to do with improvements around the stadium, not the arena, FedEx Forum, not just FedEx Forum, improvements on Beale and around that area.
I agree. I think the Grizz want to control that area, and you know what? Let them. If that's what it takes to keep them here, and they're not going to do any worse a job than that's already being done, let them have it. I'm good with that. That's for sure. And we are out of time. I know we'll do this again next week. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you too, Dave. Go and have fun with your fellow sportscasters. You are the king. You're the Hall of Famer there.
That is our man, Jarvis Greer. He's brought to you by Ken Garland Custom Home Builders. You talk about Hall of Famers. Here's third generation. They've been around 80 years. Started with Ken, then Ken Jr., and now Williams in the business. And they just are all about quality, and they're all about staying with the task, the project. That it's never really done in their minds. If you got any problems, they're there with you. They can implement any new modern technology into an older home. If you want to stay there, I call that renovation with innovation. If you're looking for land, they've got it. If you're not sure how to utilize land, look at their website, kengarland.com. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. They have wisdom. And just look at all the people and the great homes they've built. If you're thinking of that remodel, or if you are looking to finally pull the trigger on your dream home, there's only one guy, I'm telling you can really rest assured if you call Ken Garland, Custom Home Builders. I'll be in studio tomorrow. It'll be Andy Schiffman and Jason Munns that will be with us. Thank you again, Elijah Seegers, for helping us out today with all these connections and all the engineers that helped put this together. Down here in French Camp, Mississippi, I'll say so long, but don't go anywhere. Johnny Radio, he's right around the corner.